Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by Hunter Wright, of course, who drives pro late models all across the Southeast, and you may see him in other things as well. Hunter, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you, Casey?
Doing all right. So talk about how your year's been going so far in the racing world.
Well, so far it's been pretty good. Been fortunate enough to not tear much up. Just been in, I guess, one wreck really and tore a car pretty good. But fortunate enough not to tear much up and got us a win at home at Nashville Fairgrounds in the Pro Late Model. And really just been trying to travel as much as we can running our Pro Late Model, our day racing products, Pro Late Model. Like I say, had a good year. Haven't really tore a whole lot up and been fortunate enough to get us a win and run pretty decent in the rest of them.
Yep. So talk about, how you kind of got into this racing deal and what made you, travel across the country and run all these late models everywhere.
Well, my dad always raced when I was little. And obviously, most of the time, young kids seeing your dad do something, you want to do it. So that's kind of how I got into racing. We got a go-kart, started racing go-karts, and then got into legend car racing and raced in the legend car world and got to travel and fortunate enough to be very successful racing legend cars as well. And in 2019, we were running our legend car and we had bought a late model. We were running some over at I44 Speedway and met Mr. Wayne and I graduated in 2019 as well. So I came to work for him in his machine shop and, we were racing against him. He had a car that was running out there every now and then. And one race I wound up getting a drive for him over at the Rim. And then he said, well, you want to go run the fairgrounds next week? So we went and ran the fairgrounds next week. And that was the end of 2019. And we ran a race or two that year. And the following year, he kind of allowed me to race his cars. And we've been doing it ever since. I love traveling. Traveling's my favorite part of racing. So we've been running with Mr. Wayne ever since the end of 2019. We ran 2 or 3 races. And, I'm very fortunate and very grateful that he allows me to do what I do.
So talk about some of the places that you've been and raced at.
So with the legend car stuff, like I say, we were fortunate enough to get to travel quite a bit with it. We ran at Citrus County down in Florida, Atlanta Motor Speedway, Charlotte, Texas Motor Speedway. We've been up with the late model stuff. We've been up to Winchester. We went up there last year for the 400 weekend. That was really cool. It was a place I'd never seen, never been to. We were fortunate enough to qualified good, didn't race too well, but ran the track was awesome. Looking forward to hopefully getting to go back this year. We've been down to Speed Weeks a few times down at New Smyrna Speedway. We really enjoy doing that. Been to Pensacola, Five Flags Speedway, Montgomery Motor Speedway, Huntsville, Alabama. Like I say, been fortunate enough to get to travel quite a bit. We got to run up at I44 in Lebanon, Missouri before it closed down. And just done as much racing as we can find a sponsorship to do.
So you talk about I44 Speedway. A lot of people remember, a lot of ARCA fans may remember that they ran there during the COVID year. What was it like running there? And I think a lot of people are surprised, people that don't maybe follow that area are shocked that track closed.
Yeah, so that was the year we ran it. I think it was the last year they ran it. May not have been, but it was 2020 and we weren't getting to race any around here, and a lot of racetracks weren't allowed to race because of everything that was going on with COVID. And I think we had kind of been cooped up for a month or two. Like we went and ran Speed Weeks, and then we did the Alabama 200 in Montgomery, and COVID kind of set in and everything shut down. So we had been cooped up for a couple months, and we saw that they were allowing them to race there in Missouri at I-44. So I said, hey, Mr. Wayne, let's go try to run this one. He said, all right, let's go do it. So we went and did it. That was probably the 4th or 5th event that I did driving for Mr. Wayne and racing his cars. But we had a lot of fun. We ran, I think there was quite a few cars because, like I say, everything was shut down. So there was a lot of pros and supers. I think there was 25 or 30 pros, and we qualified 7th or 8th, and that's about where we finished, was 6th or 7th, somewhere in there. But it was a fun racetrack, and it was kind of out of the way. I don't know. I mean, to me, it was a good racetrack. We had good car counts. I don't really understand quite why they closed it down unless it wasn't a weekly thing, obviously.
Yeah. So going into what is it like running at the Nashville Fairgrounds?
It's a very historic place. I'm fortunate enough to live 30 minutes from there. They're only allowed to run 8 or 10 races a year. I wish it was a lot more, but it's definitely a very cool place when you walk in knowing all the history of it and all the past champions, past winners, everything like that. And a lot of them, still come around, hang around, talk about how much they love it. And it's a cool place, a great atmosphere where we draw a great car count for the pro late models every week. And fortunate enough to have some great fans come out every week too.
So what's it like running a pro late model?
Well, it's fun. I wish we could do the super stuff a little more. I've only got to run one super race, but I like the pros. They're a lot of fun. They put some they cut our power back a little bit a couple of years ago, so that made it a little tougher because you gotta drive them a lot harder. But man, it's a lot of fun, especially the long. We usually run 100 lap or more races. What we run. And it makes for fun, especially at a place like Montgomery or Pensacola that's really abrasive and really hard on tires because you kind of got to find the perfect balance of being in good track position and saving your tires for the end. And it's tough, but I think the way the strategies play out, it definitely makes it a whole lot of fun.
Okay. Also, where are we going to see you next?
Probably back at Nashville Fairgrounds. I think their next race is sometime in August, the first week or two of August. I'm trying to talk Mr. Wayne into going up to Anderson, Indiana. I think it's at the end of July. They have a pro late model race up there. It's a quarter mile bull ring. I've never been up there. I've always wanted to go, but that's the kind of track we're usually pretty successful at and run the best at. So I'd really like to go up there and check that place out too.
Last question for you. Who is Mr. Wayne? Kind of explain who Mr. Wayne is.
So Wayne Day, he's my car owner. He owns several businesses as well. I started off working for him and then fortunate enough to be able to race for him now. And he's owned a lot of cars over the years and a little bit of everything. He started off kind of in late models with a lot of people are probably familiar with the Green brothers. They all worked for him and drove for him at one point. David Reagan did as well. He's fielded a lot of cars for a lot of different drivers and I'm fortunate enough and very happy that he lets me do it, very fortunate and very blessed that he lets me drive his cars. He's my boss. He's my car owner, my mentor. He does a little bit of everything. And he and I are out in the shop pretty much every night of the week. I actually left the shop, come back over here to work where I had a little bit of cell service to do this. And I'm headed back over there. He's over there still working now.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back over there. Hunter Wright, thanks for taking some time to talk and good luck at the fairgrounds in a few weeks.
Thank you, Casey. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.